Welcome to the video series Rutherford Gets Us Google On. In this video, I'm going to go over the basics of Google Forms. I'm not going to focus on any of the advanced features, but just giving you some skills and doing some review of how to get going with Google Forms. First, we'll want to go into Google Drive. I'm going to select New, More, Google Form. It is going to create the same basic startup every time we do Google Form. So we're going to have the same default. For the purposes of this, I am going to create just a fun form, and I'll link it into the video description if you want to go through and see what it looks like yourself. So the first thing you'll notice is the form settings. When working within Edmonton Public Schools, it's going to default select for you, requiring people to log in with their Edmonton Public School username and password. If you do not want people to have to log in to use your form, then you would unselect that. However, normally you're going to be using this with students and you're going to want them to log in because you're going to want to collect their username as well. This is like putting your name on a test. So my recommendations are that once you're getting started with Google Forms is to always have the first two selected when you're working with students. We're going to move on to the next part, which is titling your form. You can do that here or here. And you can give some additional information to the form here. This form goes along with the video. Rutherford gets its Google on Forms. And then you'll see that the default is multiple choice question. So I'm going to start with going over how to do a multiple choice question first, since that's the default. So question 1, simply type in what your question is. If you want to give a hint or some help, you can underneath. This is a multiple choice question, so only one answer is allowed. Now, over on the right-hand side, you'll notice 3 icons. We'll get to those in a moment. We're going to keep going down. I'm not going to go over this part, go to a page based on the answer, or advanced settings, as this is an introduction video. So once I have my question, I need to give people some answers. So I'm going to click here and give them the first option. Once I've done that, I can click underneath to give them the second option. And you'll notice every time I click to do an answer, it'll give me another box grayed out waiting for me to click on. Any box that you have writing in or have created maybe even a space in will show up on your form. Any box that you have not clicked on, not put any spaces or typing, will not show up. If you want to give people the option of putting in their own answer, you're going to want to click Add Other, and this will allow them to type an answer in. If you make a mistake ever and want to delete one of your answers, you're going to click on any of the X's. So for this particular one, I just want to have them choose from the answers I give them. Now, I want to make this a required question, and in general, when working with students, this is a good habit to get into. You want them to answer every question. By clicking this box, you cannot submit the form without answering this question. When you're finished working on your question, click Done. It will shrink it to look pretty close to what it's going to look like on the live form. You'll notice as I mouse over the question, it'll go gray, and I'll get my 3 icons again. I can edit, I can duplicate, or I can delete this question. Okay. If you ever make a mistake, oops, I didn't mean to delete that, go to Undo. Okay. If you realize you made a spelling mistake or you want to reword something, you can click Edit and it'll open up to all of your editing options. You know what? I've decided I want to allow them to type their own answer. I'm going to click Add Other. Now I'm done. If you're going to do a question that's almost exactly the same, or maybe it has all the same answers as the one you just did, you can make a copy of that question by clicking the duplicate button. So now I can just change the one or two words and it saves me some typing. Okay. Once you're done, you can click Done. Now I'm ready to add my next question. To do that, I'm going to use the drop-down arrow. I'm going to only go over the basics in this video. So I'll be reviewing text, paragraph text, multiple choice, checkboxes, choose from a list. If you were to click Add Item, instead of using the drop-down menu, it's going to give you the item that you just had. So since I was just using multiple choice, it's going to create a multiple choice question for me. If you don't want that, delete that and choose the drop-down menu. I want to show you how to use the text option next. So you'll notice the format's the same. What's changed is what the answer is going to be. In this, people write one or two words or sentence answer. It's a very short answer. So I'm going to ask a question that will elicit a typed answer. Type a short answer is going to be my hint. Okay, I want to make it a required question and I can click Done. Now I'm ready to go on to my next item. Again, if I click Add Item, it's going to default to the item that I just had selected, which is text. So I want to go to the drop down and choose paragraph text. Sometimes you might want people to be able to write more than a phrase. So a long answer question is better choice. Okay, you might want to remind them to write in complete sentences, or we'll put type in complete sentences. Okay, make a required question and done. Next, I'm going to skip over multiple choice since I've reviewed that with you already and go to checkboxes. Checkboxes allow you to select more than one correct answer. Okay, so I usually like to give the hint select, and you'll notice spell check is handy in here, all that apply. Okay, so running club, math club, gardening club, are you fit team. You may want to use the option again, add other, for things that you might forget about. But if you're using this with students and in a quiz or formative assessment format, typically you're not going to use that option. I'm going to select required question and done. Next, drop-down menu, choose from a list. This is essentially the same as multiple choice, but instead of being able to see all the answers, there's going to be a drop-down list. Rutherford is awesome. Select the correct answer, and I'm going to give them the option of true or false, and I'm going to make it a required question. Done. Now I've gone through for you all the basic types of form questions: text, paragraph text, multiple choice, text boxes, choose from a drop-down list. So now we're at the end of our quiz, but you'll notice that this is blue here and gives me 4 lines. That means I can reorder the questions if I've decided something is in the wrong spot. So when I have those 4 lines, I can click and drag and move my questions around. Once I'm happy with everything, I now can go to the confirmation page at the bottom. This text is what will show up as default when someone has completed your form. If you want to personalize it, simply delete and type your own sentence. In general, when working with students and just getting started with Google Forms, my suggestion is to unselect all of the boxes at the bottom. Once you have done everything, you'll notice that the last thing for you to do on this part of the page is Send Form. When you click that, it's going to give you the option of how you want to share your form. You could share it as a hyperlink. If you're sharing the hyperlink and writing it somewhere where people are going to have to type it into the browser, you might want to give them a shortened URL to make it easier. It is case sensitive. If you want to share it through Google+, Facebook, or Twitter, you can share it that way. Maybe you want to share it as an email. In general, I will copy the link and then I'll put that into my website or Google Classroom or on School Zone for students to access. You could also get the HTML for pasting it in to a website. But since this is an introduction to the basics, we're going to focus on the basics, and I am just going to copy this for use later. Done. But I'm actually not done. There's a few other things that I can do. Right now, I'm working in the editing questions. I can change the theme, how it's going to look for my viewer, by clicking Change Theme. And on the right-hand side, I will get some options. Simply find the one that fits for you, click on it, and it'll show you what the banner will look like, what the font and color will look like. If you want to go back and work on your questions a little bit more, you can click on Edit Questions and your theme will go away. I'm going to skip over View Responses for a moment because we don't have any responses at this time. If you want to view the live form, so to go through and see what the users will see, you can click here. And this is what I typically do before I give it to my students to use. One, I answer everything, so I make sure I don't have any mistakes. And if I'm later going to mark this, these answers become my key. So I'm going to click View Live Form. And now this is exactly what people will see. The only thing that other users will not see is Edit This Form because they don't have editing rights. Because I have selected at the very top that I want it to collect people's usernames, it informs me that these are going to be collected. It also tells me that anything that has a red star is a required question. So I'm going to answer these questions, and I'll hyperlink, because I've copied it, this form into the video description if you want to go through and answer it and have some experience with this form yourself. So people can answer one of these only because it's multiple choice, or they can type in their own answer, but they have to have that selected as well as type in their answer. This is my short text answer. So I would type in my short answer, and you see that it shows them that they don't have a lot of space for typing. This is choose from a list. So they can only choose one answer. If I don't choose an answer, it will remind me that it's a required question and I actually do have to answer that question. Here's my long paragraph text. You'll notice I don't have a minimum here that I have to type in, but it does give me space to make it bigger if I want to type a little bit more. At the end, you'll see that users have the option of having their responses sent to them. That's a good idea for students to do if you want to review the answers. If you're doing a quiz, this will be sent to their email. And once everything is over, you can ask them all to go into their emails and you can review the quiz again. Once people are finished the form, they're going to press submit, and your customized confirmation page will show up. Thank you, you are awesome. And then the users can close and go on to their next activity. So now you have filled out your own form. And in fact, it has created a spreadsheet for you and populated that spreadsheet with your answers. So now we can go to this button, which we skipped before, View Responses. And it's actually going to open up the spreadsheet. So forms create spreadsheets. So you'll see these two together. So now I have my answers. It shows me my timestamp, my username, and all the answers. And so as more people answer the form, this will get populated. But there's some other things that are handy to look at as well. And that is going up to our responses here. Right now, there's only one response, so it has one. As you get to higher responses, that number will change with the current number of people that have filled in your form. If you don't want people to fill your form, maybe you're putting the link on School Zone, but you don't want anyone to answer it until it's class time, you can actually turn off your form. To do that, you're going to want to stop accepting responses. And it actually will show up on your form in editing mode that you have turned the form off. And it creates a message for you, which you can customize if you would like. Then school starts, it's science, and this is your science quiz. You can then turn the form on by following the same steps, going to responses, and now we're going to unselect not accepting responses. And you will see that your form is now accepting responses. Viewing the summary of responses is handy when you want to get a quick snapshot of how things are going. It's not going to look great right now because I only have one response, but you can see that I will get both a graph and a numeric answer and a percentage summary of how people have answered my questions. And then when it's short answer or long answer, I will see the sentences that people have typed in. It also tells me how many people have answered the questions on which days. I'm going to close those two tabs for right now. I'm going to go back to my form and responses. So we've gone over that you can turn your form off. You can see a handy visual for summary of responses. View responses is your spreadsheet. Okay. So those are the basics for how to create your own Google form. Remember that you can create different types. To do that, go to your drop-down menu, and we reviewed text, paragraph text, multiple choice, checkboxes, choose from a list. We reviewed that you can edit something once you've done it by clicking the edit. You can copy it. You can delete it. You can also move it when you click on it is another way to edit it. Click done if you want to get out of editing mode. Click and drag when you have the 4 arrows to change things around. At the top, you'll want to have your first 2 checked off, and at the bottom, you in general want to leave the bottom 3 done. To find out how to share the form, you click Send Form here or in the right-hand corner here, and it gives you your options for creating a link, sending an email. To find out how people have done, you can go to Responses here. You can turn off the form. You can see a quick visual summary of your responses, or you can go to the spreadsheet. Good luck creating your own forms, and let me know if you have any questions.